Hello, everybody, and welcome to a bit more of a somber Southern California housing market update for January 14th, 2025. Today, we're going to talk about why we're getting some really contradictory data. And also, we're going to talk a little bit about the effects of the recent wildfires and what effects that are going to have on our market in not only the coming months, but probably the coming years as well. Let's go ahead and get started. My name is Stephen Meade with Domicile real estate for people who love houses. I'm going to get right into it this week. My heart goes out to anybody who's been affected by these wildfires. And the reality is, if you live here in Southern California, you are likely no more than one step away from someone who is directly affected. I mean, that's just really kind of the scale of this level of disaster. People have lost their lives, people have lost their businesses, people have lost their homes. Something that really has kind of weighed on me a lot personally as well is, we always talk about houses are replaceable, but the reality is there are a number of absolutely amazing architectural properties that are lost forever, and there's not really any way to bring them back the way that they were. And I think, historic homes, for example, the McNally Mansion in Altadena. This is a home built in the 1800s. Amazing woodwork, survived almost 130 years, destroyed. I mean, there's just a level of destruction that I think is just kind of almost unfathomable. And the reality is, we're going to be facing the consequences of these fires for days, weeks, months, even years to come. And I don't want to talk too much about what's going on other than the immediate effects. And I think the immediate effects are something that you've already seen, and that is a huge impact on our rental market. And we're seeing that not just in LA County and the spaces near where the fires have been, but even in Orange County as well. We're seeing that single family rental market sort of be upended on itself. There are anti-price gouging laws. I understand that, but I mean, we're already just hearing of really some pretty egregious things. And obviously we have, 12,000 people or families that are looking for a place to live. And, that overflow is going to really kind of wreak havoc on our rental market. And I think in the coming months, as insurance settlements come to pass, we're going to actually see that start to really upend the housing market as well. So let's go ahead and get started with the stats, and I'll kind of take you through there. But I think the results that we're seeing, which are based on the last 14 days, I think, in 2 weeks, I'm going to have a completely different update for you. So take some of this stuff with a little bit of a grain of salt, because I think we've got some very major forces shifting in our market. So if we look at our total active listings, those have come up in both that under 1 million and 1 to 2 million category. We're not going to see any insurance settlements or any of that kind of money come in for a few months. And I think once that happens, I think that is going to have sort of an effect on our housing market for sure. I think that's going to have a downward pressure on inventory. And, given just the breadth of the destruction of these fires, I think we're going to see that across a lot of different price ranges. If we look at our last 14 days of new listings, I mean, this is a pretty big rebound on listings. We are, for 1 to 2 million, about where we were at last year this time, and a little bit under on those new listings as far as it goes for those under 1 million homes. But if you look at this, you can see that those lines are both shooting straight up. I think we're going to see those normalize out, and we'll have kind of a better idea of how the year is going to go as far as inventory and as far as new listings coming on the market in the next 2 weeks. If we look at our new escrows, these are down a bit, and we are below we were at last year at this point by a little bit. I think some of this might be a delay in timing, and I think we are going to see these numbers really kind of perk up, really to kind of get into that same zone that they've been, which is a little over 1,500 houses, under 1 million, and a little bit under 1,000 houses for that 1 to 2 million in new escrows. We look at our absorption rate. I tell people not to look too much in this, because you'll notice how volatile this is. And if you look at what point we were at last year, we're kind of all over the place, because you have this weird disconnection between the buyers and sellers around the holidays. Sellers all pull their houses from the market prior to the holidays, right? Buyers still keep buying. And then as soon as the holidays end, sellers rush to put those homes on the market. And when they do that, that sort of upsets these absorption numbers and kind of causes sort of an almost like fluctuation or oscillation in it that you can kind of see in the graph here. We look at our close prices. This one is also pretty interesting to me to see these rises. I mean, I think part of this is an artifact in the data. We generally take the last 7 days of data for recording our closed prices. I think you're going to notice that these numbers are going to definitely see some upward pressure as a result of the fires. I think you're going to have people who have money in their pockets, who need a place to live, who want to get back to some sense of normalcy in their lives for their families. And I think when you have that, that's a pretty motivating force for buyers. If we look at the percent still active after 14 days in the market, that number is higher, indicating a not as competitive market. I think you're going to see that shift around in 2 weeks. I think this data really doesn't incorporate that sort of effect that the fires have. I mean, I've always talked about we make these predictions, but there are always sort of unpredictable events that can kind of upend the fundamentals. This is absolutely one of those unexpected, unpredictable events that can upend the fundamentals. If we look at our list to close ratio, that's hovering right under 100%. But again, remember, this is based on deals that went into escrow 4 to 6 weeks ago, right? That was a very different market than I'd say the market we're looking at today and the market we're looking at going forward. Our days on market for new contracts, that number has been steadily going upward, much more than last year. I think you're going to see this temper a bit. I think you're going to start to see this number come back down in the next 2 weeks. And if you look back here, that is the trend, right? It tends to go downward as we progress through the spring. And then if we look at our three-way chart, right, this one, has some artifacting the data. We tend to have a lower sample size when we look at the rentals as well as the sale prices. But I feel like this might be a sign of things to come. I'm very curious to see if we see these numbers hold a bit. Again, there are some anti-price gouging measurements, but the reality is, if you put a home on the market at a certain list price and there was a bidding war, it's very hard to sort of police where that house ends up. It's very difficult to sort of monitor that and to really enforce those provisions, especially when the asking price is not a price gouging number. So understand that I think this is a taste of what we're going to see. I've never seen a gyration this big on the rental market in my life. So I think some of that might be a little bit of an aberration of the data, but not all of it. I think we're going to see that rental market for single family homes, especially, become increasingly competitive. And we're going to see that go up. And as that goes up, that only leaves more room on the buy side. Now, if we look at prevailing mortgage rates, they have come back up. We are not at the peaks that we were at last year, but we were definitely trending in that 7% neighborhood. Not a place I think anyone really wanted to be, but here we are. And, interest rates are fundamentally unpredictable. Anyhow, I want to thank everyone for watching. I mean, this has been a tough time. I know several people personally affected by the fires. We've had clients personally affected by the fires. And kind of a very sobering statistic is every home in Altadena that I have ever written an offer on in my entire real estate career has burned down. I mean, that just should indicate sort of the staggering, widespread nature of the damage. I hope everyone is staying safe, healthy. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Obviously, if there's anything we can do to help you, I don't care whether you're a normal client or not, whether it's something we can make money on. If you're somebody affected by the fires and you need advice, help, whatever you need, we are here for you to give you that advice. We'll see you again real soon.